When I was thinking of what story to tell today, there were so many stories, growing up as a kid, coming from a Southeast Asian background. And I decided to pick on a story I've never really told anyone before. And this was something that I experienced when I was 4.5 years old. When I was 4.5 years old, I was molested every day for the next 3 years. So when I was 4.5, I was molested. When I was 5.5, I was still molested. When I was 6.5, I was continuously molested. And I said with a grin in my face, but that's not how it actually was. And you think that people who go through these sufferings are people who come from very poor backgrounds. They don't have parents to take care of them. They don't have good families. They come from a poor country. You have all these ideas in your mind. But in my case, that wasn't even true. I come from a very rich family. I was fine. I went to the best schools in town. I went to the best colleges. And I had pretty much everything you possibly can get out of life. And yet, I was molested. So, and that was pretty much everyone who was around me. It was my best friend's dad, my cousins, my uncle, my mates, pretty much everyone who found this fiery little girl, with a big grin on her face, and they wanted to strap her down. And this kind of stopped when I was around 9-ish, and I don't know why it stopped, because I didn't really do anything about it. I didn't go and tell my parents. I didn't go and talk to this to anybody, because I thought, what's the point? How can I say this? Because they're not going to believe me anyway, because I'm a kid. They're going to think I made it up. How can I tell that, my father's brother is doing something to me? Nobody believes that stuff, right? So I didn't pick a fight back then. And I grew up with this experience until I was around 15 years old. And that time we were going to school, we were in a high school, kids going to school and having fun. Life is great. And around that time, I came across a lot of people who became my friends. And we would have these moments when we would start sharing our stories, or just as friends, we would start talking about our lives. People share stuff, right? And I came to know a lot of people with a lot of these experiences, whether it's being molested, to getting beaten up, to having parents who are getting divorced, to the strangest things on earth, which doesn't really make sense. And because they're very young, nobody believes them. And I think that's kind of like a turning point of my life, in the sense that I realized that it wasn't just me, but also other people around me who are having these problems. And that led to the work that we do today, which is working with young people and giving them a platform to voice their opinions. And part of being young is that nobody really believes you. Part of being young is people think you're very stupid. And part of being young, while we talk a lot about young people, is that we want them to be in everything. We want them to do this, we want them to do that, but we never really give them an opportunity. We don't really trust them. If you go to a UN meeting, everybody in the room is about 40, and there's no one young, and you're making children policies, and they're like, and I think a child should be going to school, they should go at 8 a.m., and the kid's like, what? At 8 a.m. I need to have food or something. So there's never really a young person in a room to make decisions for young people. And that's something we found extremely hypocritical around that time, which led to the work. We run an organization that works with young people, and we mentor them so that they get to turn their ideas to action, which is pretty much what the summit is all about this year. And my experience as a leader in working with young people is that they're the worst people to work with. You do not want to work with them. They are excited, they're unnecessarily individualistic, they think they're right all the time, and they want everything, but they have no idea what they want. And I'm one of them. So part of that, and you work with them, and I think for me, on a daily basis, leadership is about disappointing somebody. I send somebody or the other. Are you coming to hug me? Give me 1 minute. Okay. So no, I needed cleared that last night. Anyway, so part of that experience for me is to send somebody home very disappointed every day. I send somebody home saying, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, now is not the time, now you should wait for it, wait for the context, and things like that. And what I've learned through my experience when I was 4.5 years old to the time that I'm living right now is that it's really important to know when you pick your fight. As young, we have to always run and pick our fights. We have to be aggressive, we have to shout, scream, do this, do that. But part of being a leader is to know when to say no, when to wait, when to sort of build the context, and then when to go and pick your fight. And I think that's something I want to leave everyone as a lingering thought today, that, You're great leaders, you're doing fantastic, but sometimes it's better to just take a step back, wait for the right moment, and then pick the best fight because you want to win, you don't want to lose. So make sure you win. Thank you.